welcome back to the channel. This is ASA Studio. Today I'll be showing you how to retouch images in Capture One, and I'm going to be very straightforward with what I'm going to be teaching. Now I've edited this photo in Photoshop, but I'm going to be using Capture One just because there are some limitations we had in Photoshop. But all the same, I'm going to show you how to go around editing the process and the workflow of how I'm going to edit the image. So let's get started. Now let's observe something. Take a look at the top part of the lips and the down part of the lips. There's blemishes and also different in color variation, and I'm going to be fixing that with that's the first thing I'm going to be fixing. All right, so let's first of all think of what to do. Now let's create a new layer, and I'm going to create a new empty layer, and this is just to affect some part of the image and not all the image. So if I hit M on the keyboard, there's no mask at all. So you see there's no mask at all. Now I'm going to select the magic mask tool, and I'm going to right click and set my tolerance to about 55 and refine edge 55 tolerance. Let's just take the tolerance back, and I'm going to select just the red and hit M on the keyboard. You're going to see the places that are selected. I'm going to hit M again, and then I'm going to select more range, so we have it like this. Now I'm going to go to the color editor. Now since the max is only limited to the lips, of which you can see as I toggle on M, and it's just going to affect that area. Now under the color editor, we'll go to the skin tones. Now under the skin tones, you pick the eyedropper tool. Now you can see a circle right here. It's actually nothing inside. Now if you need the way to use this tool, you need to select with this sampler tool where you want all the skin to look like. So let's say for instance we want this red part to look like this top part of the skin of the lips. So I'm just going to select that part, and you can see that now we have the selection. I'm going to drag it out, or you can find the average, which is still the same. I'm still going to drag it out. Now let's zoom out. You go under the uniformity tab, and the uniformity, you have hue, saturation, and lightness. This hue makes things look together. That means it adjusts the color to look like the same color. So if I take it all the way up, you're gonna see the changes. Now it's actually telling you that this color you selected, it's pink. It's pink in color compared to this one, red. Now it's actually trying to balance the color to this. Now since the change is still much different, of which is trying to balance it to this one, we're going to increase the saturation, and this is where things are going to change. As you increase the saturation, it blends with that of the top layer. Now if you take it all the way up, you're going to see that it has the same color. Now if you take this, we can adjust this one backwards and make it look uniform. And if you use lightness, it's going to be flat, so I don't like using the lightness, but let's just take it up a little to make it to have the same light. And one thing we could do now, we lost the color, so we're going to adjust the hue. If we take it back, it's going to look red. If we take it forward, it's going to look more like the skin yellow. Let me show you what I'm talking about. Take it forward, it looks more like the yellow. Take it back, it looks more like the the red. So this, I'm going to take it back because the lips needs to be different from the color. All right, so now that the two colors are looking the same, you can go back to the saturation and increase the saturation to make it more saturated and different. All right, so that's that. Now we're going to create another new layer. Let me name this one lips. I'm going to create an empty layer, and this we're going to use it to balance the skin tones. So let's make a selection of all the skin tones. I'm going to just draw and hit them on the keyboard. You can see where it's selected. Still draw, and that's that. You can see hit M on the keyboard. It's going to show where it's selected. Alright, so now that the mask is functioning for the skin alone, we're still going to go to the same place. Let's rename it skin, hit enter, and close the layer mask, and let me take this one to the top. Okay, so we have the layer mask open. I'm going to go to the color editor now, and then select the sampler tool. Now what color do you want the skin texture to look like? Let's zoom in. Okay, let's say we want the skin texture to look more like that of the neck, which is the color our real color. I'm going to take it out, and you know what to do. Either you increase the saturation or you increase the hue, but let's make the hue uniform first of all. So it's going to look like the yellow kind of feel, and then let's make the saturation uniform. So this is what we get when we make the saturation uniform. So you can see a lot of difference. If we take this back, it's actually going to balance itself. So let's take this forward, and we have this. I could increase the lightness and it will be very smooth. Okay, so now that we have that, let's see, let's toggle off on and off where we come from. So from we balance the lips, and now we balance the skin color. And you can take it to Photoshop now to perform some frequency separation. Of course, it's very easy because for you to perform just these two steps we just did in Photoshop, it's going to take a while. It's going to take long. So we cannot do frequency separation. But in case you don't have Photoshop yet, I'm just going to do all the tutorial in Capture One. So let's open up the layer again, and I'm going to create. It will automatically create a layer when we select the Ilia tune. So I'm going to select this hue mask. So I'm going to create a new layer, new empty layer. Now on the new empty layer, let's select where we want. Just select a place, and Photoshop is going to adjust those blemishes like that. Okay, so hue layer, sorry, hue layer. It's I guess I don't need. I'm going to delete that layer, and I'm going to add another one, new empty layer. And let's click on the clone stamp tool. I said drawing healing tool brush, sorry. And now we could, select, and it's going to heal that place. So it's created a new heal layer for us. And let's continue drawing some hue. Alright, so it's working now. Had issue with the hue layer before. So I'm just clicking, select the hue layer. I'm going to get rid of this one. And now just select the hue layer, and then hue brush, sorry, and then you start, just healing. But I would advise you do this with frequency separation in Photoshop. Okay, so I'm just quickly going to do the rest. Alright, so this is what I did with the hue layer. Let me remove this, go to the hue layer, and before and after. Now let's say for instance, instead of doing frequency separation in Photoshop, I want to like make everything a little bit uniform. We could use the close stamp tool, and selecting the close stamp tool, I'm gonna hold down Alt and select this cooler part, and I could just paint over where I want to make uniform, so something like that, and just keep on doing the necessary. So see what, let's sample a place, and then start clicking. Okay, so from this side I'm going to select, hold down Alt and select, and then I'm going to just cover and make it smoother, so something like this, and this also. Okay, let's hit Ctrl Z. Let's do that for the lips as well. Hold down Alt. I'm going to sample somewhere here, and then I'm going to fixing, so you could see how it's affect, sorry, that side. I'm going to fix that side. Hold it down Alt, and putting it on top. Hold down Alt, then fixing. So I'm going to do that again. Let's just undo the, yes. So let's take it forward, make it smaller, and I'm going to sample somewhere here, and then fix this one, sample somewhere here, and then fix. Just try and make things look good. Alright, so let's see before and after. But I would advise you use frequency separation. So I'm going to take it for Photoshop and then do some frequency separation. But before that, let's add a new layer a new adjustment layer, fill adjustment layer. So let's go to the color editor, go to under the basic tab. I'm going to select this N2 and select the particular color it's going to show me, and we could increase the saturation of it, not too much, just the one to balance it, just like that. Let's take it up a little bit, and we could go to the orange, take up the saturation as well, and I could select this one. It's going to select the particular color and increase the saturation, decrease the lightness. It's just to make the photo advance. And I can go close the basic tab, go to the exposure, and I could increase the high dynamic range, increase the highlights just a bit, take back the white and increase the shadows, and also increase the saturation a bit. So in her we could see our before and after. So before and after, before and after. But you can still do more in Photoshop, and it will be a lot easier because you are just going to do frequency separation. So if you like the video, let me see you hit the like button, and let me see your comments of what you think about the video. Also, so if you're new to the channel, you can actually subscribe. So see you in our next video. Thank you for staying tuned. Once again, this is ASAS.